Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Monday Night Wellness Stories. I'm Sherry Danzig, and welcome to learning about Niken, our technologies. Not really about how the technologies work. Really, what we do here is we share stories about the impact that these fabulous technologies have had. And usually we are focused on some sort of a challenge because let's face it, we oftentimes don't think about what we need for our bodies until we have an issue. I mean, that's kind of a human condition, I guess. So, but really and truly, what our focus is with Niken is about prevention. It is about, well, Gary will say it. I don't want to steal your line about, I'll let you say your line. So we have someone today who is a real expert in wellness. He's a physiologist and has done great research on self-care and has a gorgeous magazine. I just looked at the new magazine and it's absolutely stunning. So tonight we're going to be focused on some stories and kind of an overarching of why you want to talk to people about Nikken, why you yourself want to look at Nikken, not necessarily for a problem you're having. Maybe you're super healthy and you know what? You want to stay that way. So this is really about prevention. It's about investing into your well-being so that you stay ahead of the curve and you don't end up getting old and taking a bunch of, prescriptions and all that kind of stuff. So we really do need to be thinking about, our health preventatively. And that's what other countries do. That's what the East, that's what Japan does really well, that we need to learn better in this country. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Gary, to tell us about why we need to be investing in our well-being and how these products can be so great for preventative care.
Well, thank you, Sherry, and thank you for the introduction and thank you for the invitation. Um, for probably 10 years, I've been touting a phrase that's become, I would say, more like a war cry: be healthy by choice, not by chance. Because if we leave our health to chance, the chances aren't very good we're going to be healthy. And I don't think there's any of us on this call tonight and anybody looking at the recording later that hasn't had chronic disease affect them either personally or family members or friends and people that you care about. 80% of us will develop chronic diseases by the time we're 65 years old. And it's our biggest health expenditure here in the US. So I don't know how many stories I'm going to have here, but I'm going to talk about prevention. I'm going to talk about what's a passion for me, because all health agencies, the Centers for Disease Control, World Health Organization, all agree that 80% of these largest killers, chronic diseases, can be prevented. And they are also the major causative factor for poor quality of life. And with 80% of them being prevented, I think we can change the world. And I think the solution, and part of that solution, is the Niken Wellness Home while focusing on prevention. So if we look at the major categories, so what causes chronic disease? All right, there's a lot of things, but I'm going to list a few. But I'm going to state up front that, in my opinion, as a physiologist, it's pretty much environmental toxins. And where do we get those? Well, we get them in utero because they're passed through the placenta, so our mom all gave them to us. But we get them from absorbing noxious chemicals from the water we drink, the water we bathe in, the air we breathe, the furniture in our homes, the air in our homes, the food we eat, and the list can go on and on. And these accumulate in our bodies, and they take its toll on our ability to be healthy. So a good focus for prevention would be to cut down the number of environmental toxins that we are putting into our bodies, like as I said, either through ingestion or inhalation or absorption, and let our body do what it wants to do, which is to detoxify itself. So let's start with some pretty basic things. Air. All right. We all breathe 23,000 times a day. And usually we don't even think about it. We spend 90% of our time indoors where the air can be 5 times more toxic than outside. And the people that spend most of the time indoors are those that are the very young, the very old, or the infirm or the sick. So we want to improve the quality of air where we're spending most of our time. And the Niken Wellness Home provides a solution for that with a Kenko air purifier. So I'm not going to go into a lot of technology on the products or anything else. I'm just basically going to state what I believe to be the problem and then a solution as it exists in the wellness home. So Kenko air purifier, better air in your home where we're spending most of our time. It also provides negative ions, which makes the air in your home very pleasing. And some of you may have noticed this when people visit your home and you do have Kenko air purifiers in your home. They'll notice right away there's something different about your home. And it's that relaxing atmosphere that's provided by the negative ions. Um, water's a huge one for me, and whatever you're doing for your health, if you're well hydrated, it'll work better. Right now, the issue is 70% of the people you talk to are clinically dehydrated every day because they don't drink enough water. They drink just about everything else but water. A couple years ago, I was doing a presentation for the UK, and I came across some figures in their National Health Service that said 20% of Britons drink no water a day. I mean, I was flabbergasted. Like, I can't imagine not drinking any water per day. But that's the figure from their National Health Services. And failure to drink enough water can cause a whole host of chronic diseases. And I'm going to introduce you when I'm done to the magazine that Heather and I recently published, which will basically give more information on what I'm talking about here tonight. So drink enough water and drink healthy water. Is bottled water a good choice? No. Anybody drink, I'm just going to, people think bottled water is healthier than tap water. I will unequivocally say right now it is not. All right. And let me just use one little figure. The average person, the person drinking in 1 month's time that chooses bottled water as their main source of water consumes enough microplastics to equal a credit card each month. Now, is that good for our body? No. Do we want to be hydrated? Yes. So let's drink water the way nature intended. Transform your tap water, which is regulated, all right, through the Niken solution, which is the waterfall, into healthy spring water. It's a pretty simple solution, and for pennies a gallon compared to what somebody would pay for bottled water. Sleep, same thing. 75% of Americans don't get enough sleep. The average American sleeps 6.5 hours a night. That's an hour less than that was about 40 or 50 years ago. And a lack of sleep, again, is a primary causative factor of many different chronic diseases. So get a good 8.5. I like to sleep 9 hours a night myself, but get a good quality restful sleep. Let your body detoxify when you're sleeping, because that's pretty much when we do that. Let your brain reset, let it clear of all the metabolic byproducts, and failure to good night's sleep again causes all type of chronic diseases, including mental impairments. So we also need to fuel our body and food. So what we are, what we eat. We've all heard that, right? So what's the problem here? Too much fast food, too much processed food, way too much sugar in our food. The average American eats 153 grams of sugar a day. And we aren't alone. This is a global problem. A normal or a healthy range of sugar, if you can say any range is healthy, but you're going to get it one way or the other. But is about 30 grams, 24 grams for women a day and 30 grams for men. not 153 grams. Uh, processing of food. I'm going to throw this out here right now too. So if we look 100 years ago, the major cause of death and health challenges were infectious diseases. So 100 years later, it's chronic diseases. 70% chronic diseases are responsible for 70% of deaths globally. Um, and why is that? It's basically because we've changed our environment so drastically. And any place in the world you go where modernization, industrialization, processing of food, any place in the world you go where this has happened, chronic disease follows as a primary cause of poor health. And so I think the writing's on the wall there that we really need to take steps to prevent chronic disease. And by doing that, by making smart choices when it comes to the air we breathe, the water we drink, the amount of sleep that we get, the food that we eat. We also need the natural energies of the earth and the sun. And we're constantly blocking ourselves from that right now. I'm Wi-Fi'd everywhere. I'm right here while I'm sitting. I got my cell phone right there. I have electronics and electricity surrounding me in my home, and I want to protect myself from those because they aren't natural energies for my body. So Nikan has in the Wellness Home a whole host of products to help you normalize those energies and get the vital energies of the sun and the earth that we need. The grounding mat's a good example. I'll use a story. I just met with a friend of mine. Well, it was probably about 6 months ago, and he is probably the biggest health advocate that I know. I've known this guy since second grade, and he lives in Cincinnati, and we grew up together here in California. And he still rides his bike about 50 miles a day, and tries to stay healthy. But we were having dinner one night. I met him in San Francisco. He was out here for business, and I asked him. I said, "Will, I'm going to ask you a question." He says, "Well, what's that?" I said, "When is the last time that you really connected to the earth?" And he says, "Well, what do you mean?" Well, I said, like laying on the beach or walking barefoot in the grass or in the sand, or, just your skin touching the earth. And he thought about it and he said, "Well, I can tell you exactly when that was." And I said, "Okay." He said, "6 years ago, we were on vacation in Florida." So, I mean, and people don't think about it. But when we do connect to the earth, a whole host of negative electrons rush into our body that act as natural antioxidants to help combat oxidative stress. So there's some pretty simple things. I mean, the thing I like about the Wellness Home is that um, it creates a lifestyle. It creates a lifestyle almost secondarily to where when I'm breathing good air and I'm well hydrated and I'm getting a good night's sleep and I'm taking in nutritious food and I'm blocking some of these unnatural energies, all of a sudden I start to feel better. And when I start to feel better, I say, what else can I do to feel better? Well, maybe I can walk more. Maybe I can take more trips to the gym. Maybe I can create some exercise routine. I'll start eating healthier because it's conscious in my mind. And for 25 years, I have seen the Wellness Home create that transformation in many, many people that maybe weren't conscious of being healthy by choice, but are now, because it's our choices that really determine our health. I'm very passionate about sharing this message. I
Mhm.
appreciate all of you that do the same. I think we can make a huge difference not only in our own health and in the health of the people we love and care about, but the people we meet as well. So that's pretty much, like I said, it's what I'm about. It's what my passion is. What I talk to people about every day. Um,
Awesome.
interesting story today. Um, a gal called me up on the phone and she received one of our customer emails that Heather sends out. And she was interested in the precision because she's very into magnetics and she's a former Nikan consultant. And she wanted to buy a precision. So as we started talking, she was interested in 4 or 5 more other products. And I mentioned a couple others to her too that she didn't have in her product line that she was involved with Niken. She hasn't ordered a Niken product in 11 years, but she placed quite a sizable order with me today so she could be healthier by choice. And of course, she's trying to help her husband who's dealing with a couple health challenges as well. So
Yeah.
we can
Thank you
open,
for that.
yeah,
I know we focus so much on helping them, people with a specific thing. And so I appreciate how you created this whole a broader understanding of the importance. Why do we, why is it so important to be investing in our health?
yeah.
So thank you so much for that.
Oh, you bet. So if you don't mind, I'll share my screen.
Hang on one
Just
second though. Hang on.
okay. Okay.